So let's all sit in silence for 1 minute before we get started. So sitting erect, sitting straight, adjusting yourself, eyes closed, focusing on your breathing. Slowly bring your hands into Namaskar Mudra. Breathe in. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Gurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvata. Om Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. A very good morning to all of you. Namaste, Vanakkam. Welcoming you all to day 2 of this international FDP. Today is an auspicious day. That's why, a day for Ganesha, what we call as Shankatahara Chaturthi. So that is why, we started with a prayer on Ganesha. Let him dispel all the, darkness and let everything go away. All the obstacles be removed. And let's all have a great day. So let me share the screen to introduce Dr. Ingunn. Yes. Okay, as you all know, we are here on the day 2 of the International Faculty Development Program organized by the School of Yoga Therapy, Institute of Salutogenesis and Complementary Medicine of Sri Balaji Vidyapeeth, Pondicherry. And we are very, very happy to say that this has been organized as part of the Yoga Bandhan initiative by the Ministry of AYUSH, Government of India. And yes, so this is going on from 14th of May up to the 6th of June, every Wednesdays and Fridays, 10 to 11. So we had the first day session by Shri Krishna Prakash ji, and today we have the pleasure of having Dr. Ingunn ji, Dr. Ingunn Hagen, who's a professor in psychology from the National Institute of Science and Technology, Norway. Sorry, Norwegian Institute of Science and Technology, Norway. Beg my pardon. And she will be speaking on this topic. It's a bit long, but very, very essential for now. Why and how should yogis take responsibility for some of the United Nations Sustainable Developmental Goals? And she is here to share her preliminary reflections. So a short, introduction about the resource person for today. She is a professor, Department of Psychology from the Norwegian Institute of Science and Technology, and a long-term yoga practitioner, recently inspired by the Gitananda tradition and she is an ardent follower and, you know, like a student who's been there throughout our journey for the past, should I say, 5-6 years or more with Dr. Anand Balyogi sir. And her research interests include yoga, mental health and well-being, media mastery, role of digital media in children and young people's lives, internet-related risks, audience reception studies, political communication and children. She's led many research projects on people's experiences related to yoga. And Dr. Ingunn has presented at several international yoga conferences and in international journals. Her teaching expertise includes media audience, media and communication psychology, organizational communication, qualitative methodologies and mindfulness, coaching and existential psychological approaches to conversations in life and in work life. She has published extensively and has been active in numerous international and national organizations related to media and communication. I'm so pleased to share the news with you all of the first collaborative chapter by Professor Ingunn Hagen and Dr. Ananda Ji on how to facilitate self-reflection, personal development, and coping with stress, yoga, and yogic breathing for increasing health, healing, and well-being. So that is it. And we are very, very happy that we have an MOU. ISCM has an MOU with the Norwegian University, for which Dr. Ingunn has been instrumental. And so over to you, Dr. Ingunn, for your perspectives on the topic. Yes.
Just give me 1 second. I need to remove something that is making noise.
Yeah. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. And a good morning to all the participants who has joined in today for the day 2 of the International FDP. Welcoming you all again for this, and let's all have a wonderful time discussing on, you know, the SDGs, the Sustainable Developmental Goals, and the role of yoga in the Sustainable Developmental Goals. Yes, over to you, Ingunn ji.
Okay, sorry for that. Someone had put an alarm beside me that was gonna be on the whole time, so I had to remove that. Okay, so I think first of all, thank you for inviting me. I'm on a research sabbatical in California, and I was quite busy. So I thought, oh no, I can't do this, and it will be late at night, and yeah. And then I thought, I always learn so much from these faculty development programs. So I thought, yeah, I should contribute this year too. And when I heard about the topic, first I felt, oh, how can I link that? And then I thought, well, this is a good challenge for me, so I'll do it. So thank you for inviting me. I'm having some problems to move this. I don't know why. I'll try again.
Yeah, screen is visible. Can you move now? Can you click on that and then
yeah, it's moving. Perfect. Yeah. So our joint agenda for this FDP series this year is to illuminate the role of yoga in attaining the Sustainable Development Goals, and there are 7 of them. So it's a whole mouthful, and it's all areas that are important. And if they all were achieved, we would have a perfect world, I think. So, but it's a big job, but it's something that is important for the whole world. And it was initiated by the United Nations. So then one can be my small contribution, and it was, of course, to try to link somehow some of these some aspect of yoga and also these sustainable development goals. So on my why this should be a connection, I would try to base it on the Gitananda yoga tradition, on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, and also my personal experiences in life and research, and how I would try to explore yoga as a way of life, and how yoga and yogis should relate to these sustainable development goals. And I realized when I was working on it that I probably should have limited myself to one of the goals, but I chose 3. And I will pay most attention to the climate action, which is about, it's the 13th one, and it's about taking urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. I will also say something about responsible consumption and production, and mainly because I've been working on these areas from a research perspective. And then I will say a little bit about good health and well-being, because that's very near the fields I'm working in, and of course it's very important for all of us. I thought we needed to look a little bit at the background for these 17 goals. And the background, as you may know or may not know, it's a report written in 1986. It was called Our Common Future. And it was a UN report, and it's was made by something called the World Commission on Environment and Development. And Brundtland, she is the picture I put below the report. And I wanted to tell you a bit about her, because I think the report reflects her values. She's Norwegian. Her name is Gro Harlem Brundtland. She was a medical doctor. She was her first environmental minister. She was a social democrat, and she was 3 times our prime minister for that party. So she was a very active person, very dedicated. She became kind of world famous when she put together her government in Norway, one of our first government, which had majority of women, because that was quite rare on a world scale. She was then appointed part of this commission that wrote Our Common Future. And she was after that, she was the general secretary of the World Health Organization, where she also fought the sugar industry. And because she thought it was so important to the general human health that sugar is not promoted at the scale that it is. For example, she asked all companies to put a label how much sugar was added. But then the report, the Brundtland report, is about the human source development in the form of poverty reduction, gender equality, and wealth distribution, which was seen as crucial to formulating strategies for the environmental conservation. And they also claim in the report that there are environmental limits to economic growth, both in industrialized countries that I come from, Norway, and in industrializing societies. And also poverty can also reduce sustainability, and it puts a pressure on the environment. So there becomes a need to balance economy and ecology. These 17 Sustainable Development Goals are about transforming our whole world. And they are part of this 2020 Agenda for Sustainable Development that has been put as a milestone to achieving many of these goals. And it was adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015. So it's rare that you get this kind of agreement, but it was seen as important. So they say that this agenda provides a blueprint for peace and prosperity for people on the planet now and in the future. And these 7 Sustainable Development Goals are an urgent call to all countries, developed and developing, in a global partnership. So this ending poverty must go hand in hand with the strategies to improve health and education, reduce inequality, and also to spur economic growth in some countries. And at the same tackle the climate changes. And we need to preserve our nature, our oceans, our forests, and that has to be done at the same time. Because if we only emphasize economic growth, we will destroy our planet, simply. So what is a yogi then? And I'm speaking to mainly yogis, so I don't have to define very much, but to the common person, it's a yogi is a person who is practicing yoga. To us, it's also a person who is living a yogic life beyond the mat. And Swamiji Gitananda has said this very clearly. I prefer that you accept yoga as a way of life, a way of integrating your whole nature, so that all aspects of your life work in harmony, one with another. So I would also say that yoga involves a holistic understanding of the human being as a purposeful attempt to develop a heightened awareness. And this is based on the fourfold awareness model also of Swamiji, that being a yoga means becoming aware of your body, emotions, mind, as well as of your own level of awareness or not. It should, I think, when we talk about these developmental goals, sustainable developmental goals, it should also include awareness of our place in the universe and our responsibility for that universe and our planet. We have had some discussions about, in this Gitananda tradition, that it's fair to label it a humanistic version of yoga. That means that one looks at the human beings as conscious and aware, also of their awareness. And because they have this awareness and thus they have an ability to choose, they also need to be responsible. The Maharishi Patanjali's Yoga Sutras is one of the main sources of inspiration for most yogis, both in India and elsewhere. It is, for the Gitananda tradition, as well as for many other traditions, a central philosophical basis of yoga. The sutras express very important wisdom for how to live a yogic life. And I think most of us, I've not been lucky to grow up with having to chant the Yoga Sutras, so I don't know them by heart. But every time I read it, I find some new insights. One central part that I think is important in this context is the Ashtangas, or 8 limbs of yoga, which is part of the sadhana pada. The 2 first of them, the yamas and niyamas, are the ethical base for the other 6 limbs, but the limbs are all interrelated. And Dr. Gitananda expressed in an article that Dr. Ananda wrote about the core of Gitananda Yoga. He said that he referred to Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga and as a no option yoga. So it was emphasized that we need to base all our yoga on the Ashtanga Yoga. But especially we need to have deep knowledge of Dhyana and Niyama as a precondition for practicing yoga. So that I think it's important both when we practice yoga and when we teach yoga. And I think that all of you are quite aware of those 10 points as part of the 8 Ashtangas. So we can specify the yamas into ahimsa, asteya, satya, brahmacharya, and aparigraha. I'm not saying them in the right order. I'm just looking at this picture. Then niyamas are shausha, santosha, tapas, svadhyaya, and ishvara pranidhana. We will get back to them. And here I discuss based on a book that Dr. Ananda wrote. The picture is there. Because these yamas, these 5 moral constraints, are meant to cultivate control over our lower animal-like tendency, so we become more human in the way we deal with the world. So it's ahimsa, non-violence, satya, truth. I think he has also a good definition of them. So ahimsa is also control over violent tendencies, satya is control of lying tendency, asteya is non-stealing or control of thieving tendencies, brahmacharya is moderation or control of creative energies, aparigraha is simplicity or control over our possessive tendencies. Then we have the niyama, the ethical observances that cultivate humane qualities necessary for a conscious life of yoga. And they are especially important for how we relate to ourselves. So shausha, the cleanliness at all levels, inside, outside, and around us. Santosha, self-contented happiness. Tapa, self-discipline, very important in yoga, or disciplined efforts. And svadhyaya, I hold that concept very high. It's about self-study, introspectional self-analysis, self-reflection, that Dr. Ananda and I just wrote about. And then it's, of course, Ishvara Pranidhana, faith, or the ability to surrender the personal will to the higher divine will. And there's a motto often repeated, I think, especially about by Amaji, do your best and leave the rest. So what about this climate action, to take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts? And I will share a bit from my personal background because this revived some passion in me, this topic. My background was growing up on an island by one of the fjords in Western Norway. And it's very close to nature because you're surrounded by mountains, woods, and ocean. And being in nature, it's said to be Norwegians' form of meditation. So we are very close to nature. We walk in nature, we live in nature. And that my family, that was very important, and especially my father. His best moments was when he could take us all out in nature. So in my high school years, I was leader of a local chapter of an organization called Natur og Ungdom, that means nature and youth in Norway. So we worked very actively to restore local too acidic lakes. The fish were dying there because of the acid that had entered there from the air due to severe pollution from Germany and British industry. We also work to reduce consumption, increase ecological awareness, and self-reliance was also part of it. This organization, which consists of very engaged youth, is also active today. And now their motto is, "The climate fight is useful or working." It's difficult to translate the Norwegian word. So they have 3 topics that they focus on now. It's about protecting the ocean from, we cultivate a lot of fish in our fjords in Norway, and there's a lot of pollution related to that. Our government are also planning to mine under the sea, which could be very bad for the ocean. They are working for change and adjustment because we are an oil-producing country. That's what has made us rich. Before that, we were a rather poor country in the outskirts of Europe, but now we have we are a wealthy country based our economy. It's mostly kept by the state, but it also is possible to, it makes it possible to develop our welfare state in Norway. And they also emphasize to protect nature and stop politicians from abusing nature and make sure that they use it in a sustainable way. So it's a very good and active organization for youth. I think this kind of youth engagement can be very contagious, and probably the ones who have, the one who has achieved that the most to engage other young people is Greta Thunberg, who is known as one of the, she's probably the world's best known climate change campaigners. And she has been credited with raising public awareness, especially amongst young people. She started out, she's a girl, she's partly autistic. She also has some muting problems. She says, "I only speak when it's necessary." So despite her challenges in life, she has taken this fight against the climate so seriously. So when she was in school, she would take her Fridays off. She would sit in front of the Swedish parliament in Stockholm, putting up signs saying, "Sorry, I'm out of school. I have to protest the climate change." That's how she started. And after some time, she got a lot of media attention, and she was a very great orator. She still is, I think. And you can find many of her speeches online. And she has been able to engage a lot of young people. So these protests started to spread to many countries in the world, engaging youth against this climate, unhealthy climate changes. So she says things like, this was to the World Economic Forum, "I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day. And then I want you to act. I want you to act as if you would in a crisis. I want you to act as if your house was on fire, because it is." Another speech, "We can no longer let the people in power decide what is politically possible. We can no longer let the people in power decide what hope is. Hope is not passive. Hope is not blah, 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 blah. Hope is telling the truth. Hope is taking action, and hope always comes from the people, and perhaps from yogis." So we should not forget about this climate crisis. It's not easy to solve, and it's a global crisis. And today, it's partly overshadowed by so many conflicts and war in Ukraine, Gaza, in India, Kashmir, many places, and they get a lot more media attention than climate crisis. And follow war and conflicts, there are often immigration and refugee challenges that we have to deal with. So such conflicts, and also the recent pandemic, and now the trade war that Trump is initiating, change the political climate. And we have a lot, it's said, especially in the media, that one can only have one big crisis on the agenda at one time. The others are put in the background. And so there has been less focus on the climate, but this crisis is real and it needs immediate and continuous action. Still, there are many people and politicians who deny the climate crisis. They say that the research is humbug. A recent study in Norway showed that 15% thought that there was no climate crisis. And some politicians, and again, it's the administration of Trump in the country where I'm now, who have just stopped funding climate restoration efforts and also climate research. So to resolve this climate crisis, we need awareness and action, and they need to be supported by policies, regulation, and continued research. And perhaps with yogic awareness, we can contribute something. I think there are lots of signs of hope, though. It's not all gloomy. You have this youth engagement that I already showed you through this Nature and Youth. You also have a great interest in many countries, including Norway, in youth buying second-hand clothes and redesigned clothes just to avoid more unnecessary consumption. And they have a great ecological awareness, many of them. You have also politicians who work towards more green politics. In Norway, green politics is very intense. Sometimes it's real, sometimes it's just, a new hype, I would say. But it has implications. For example, in Norway, despite our oil production, the government has decided that by 2025, people should only be able to buy electric cars because they pollute less. The problem is that if you look closely at the electric cars, I have an electric car myself, but you have to change them more often, and when they are produced, that takes as much effort as producing a car on gas. And you cannot keep it so long because the batteries won't last that long. So it's a short-lived green car. So in the long run, I don't know how green it is. But the other hopeful things, these global climate meetings, negotiation and charts, and attempts to reduce greenhouse emissions and accountability attempts of CO2. You also have businesses taking part. So corporate responsibility is a word in organizational psychology and related to business. So business organizations then start to try to take part of the green shift to improve their brand. Even oil companies, like, for example, BP, British Petroleum, start to say that they are a very green organization, even though their main business is to produce oil. So they will make all these small attempts that could be good. And then there are other attempts at more renewable and cleaner energy sources like solar energy, windmills, and organizations and campaigns making a difference through often very concrete efforts. related to this responsible consumption and production, where we try to ensure that sustainable consumption and production patterns, I will look more at the consumption than the production. I was part of a project called Consuming Children, Commercialization and the Changing Construction of Childhood, where we looked at the marketing, cultural products or text, and consumers. And my responsibility, I'm a media researcher by training, and I've mostly looked at how media impacts audiences or people, but here my responsibility was to study the strategies that companies use to reach children and their families about their brand. Because these companies act as one of the newer book in this field that just came out. It was first came out in 2000, and then it was reprinted last year, called Born to Buy. So they try to make children and their families consumers from the moments the children are born. They want the families and their children to be loyal customers. If you recruit someone as a child and they are a loyal customer, you have secured your economy very well in a company. So it's related to baby or child food, baby gears, media, content, clothes, toys, everything. And they are all mixed. So some examples, and Nestle has a motto, good food, good life. And they try to sell drinks, breakfast cereals, not always the most healthy ones, but they're very successful in selling them. Another well-known chain is McDonald's. These are global companies, are very good at reaching children and their families. For children, they have something called Happy Meals, where the hamburgers, the chips, and the drinks are combined with toys from popular blockbusters, especially Disney films and other. Of course, this makes it very attractive for children to buy, eat, have toys at the same time. So these companies are counting on what they call the nagging factors. Children can recognize the M if they go by a McDonald's and they start saying, "Mom, I want a hamburger. I want a Happy Meal." Another case is Disney, a global company that has been very successful in making media products for children and their families. And they make, beside the media products, there are lots of spin-off products, clothes, toys, everything. So I was part of a project called the Global Disney Audiences Project, where we also looked at what is produced, what is available in the stores, what's on the market, and how do children react to it. So these were 18 countries that were involved, and we also wrote a book where I think 12 of the countries participated. So it was about production and consumption or reception of the Disney brand around the world. But this increased consumption also increased the pollution. So what do we have in our world? On land, there are mountains of garbage in many countries. In the ocean, which is common, there are tons of garbage, especially plastic. Just a few concrete examples. In Norway, 2017, whale with dirty plastic bags in their stomach came to shore. They tried to move it out again, but it came back. Whales do that when they're going to die. Spain, a dead whale was found. It had 29 kilos of plastic garbage in its stomach. In Sardinia, the year after, a whale was found with 22 kilo plastic in his stomach, including a big fish net and a dead calf, which is a whale baby in his body. And all these incidents got a lot of global attention. So in many countries, there are now campaigns to clean up the beaches, inspired especially by these whale stories. because they got a lot of attention when it was found so much plastic inside the whales. They could not have any other food. There was no room, so they died of hunger, full of plastic. So others are getting inspired, like this boat owners. We see pick up plastic, and schools who take their children. In Norway, it's very common, especially in the spring, to take out the children to clean up plastic on the beaches as part of their awareness training. And children who have been part of this are very conscious when you try to throw a plastic bag. It has to be recycled. They are very concerned about recycling. There's also been important initiatives to clean up the beaches in Mumbai, where also a lot of young people were involved. Very good for the beaches in Mumbai, and probably for the ocean close by too. So I thought perhaps Pondicherry is next. Just an idea. So good health and well-being is also, of course, important to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all ages. This is the third Sustainable Development Goals. And also in the Gitananda tradition, this is high on the agenda. Because as Gitananda says, but it's also more regarded as positive side effects of doing yoga, rather than the goal in itself. So health and happiness are your birthrights. Claim them and development to your maximum potential. So we have the responsibility to become healthy and happy. And part of this health is also to have healthy surroundings. Because human beings need healthy climate, we need a clean and healthy nature, we need animals to be healthy, whether they are our pets or if we are meat eaters. And for us to continue to live healthy lives also in the future. And if we are not taking care of this, I think we are not being fair to our children, because they will grow up in this very healthy surroundings then. So it's important for us to create awareness of being part of the ecosystem. Someone is going to talk about that in another one of our seminars. And I think it was Malini from Australia. And human beings are not separate from nature, but we are integrated parts of the ecosystem. And that's important to remember. Because when we overconsume natural resources, pollute the air, earth, and ocean, we impact the whole ecosystem in very risky ways. It's risky now, and it's even more risky for the future. Then this happiness. And there are, I've written about happiness in a book, but it is in Norwegian. But there I discuss how there are different conceptions of happiness. And one is a hedonistic version, and the other is a eudaimonic version of happiness. So it means that you can understand or conceptualize happiness as enjoyment, as temporary joy, having fun. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that. But we should also try to achieve more long-term contentment and meaningfulness. And then in the front of that, in my field, it's positive psychology, where they used to be more towards a hedonistic understanding of happiness, much as a reaction to the problem focus in mainstream psychology. But now they're more into the eudaimonic version of happiness, where there's focus on finding meaning in human flourishing. As far as I could notice from our program, Rama Radikari is going to talk more about this in his lecture. It's also the Salutogenesis, which is central in the Gitananda yoga tradition and also in your institute. of salutogenesis and complementary medicine, it's a focus on factors that contribute to good health and emphasize this sense of coherence or SOC model, where not only comprehensibility and manageability is important, but also meaning is very important for a healthier life. When we feel some meaning in life, it's very strengthening us existentially in a very deep way. So yogis need to make our health, our happiness and development linked to responsibility for our planet, I think, also for future generations. So this is a challenge too. Then you have the no option yoga and how we can make connections between especially yama and niyama and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. What are the interactions? And I was just making some connections that to me were kind of obvious. Maybe other connections are more obvious to others. So climate action, I think it's about non-violence, not destroying or harming our planet, the animals, and also indirectly harming ourselves and our children. It's about truth, telling the truth. What does research show? What can we see? It's about non-stealing from what is not ours. It's also to last for future generation. It's about responsibility, consumption and production. I think also you can find some yamas and niyamas, simplicity, moderation, discipline. We don't need to consume all the time, even if it's tempting, if we are influenced all the time. Consumption should not be our main values and goals in life. Good health and well-being, contentment, discipline, self-study or self-reflection, I think are good matches there. But it also seems that many of the, or perhaps all the yamas and niyamas could be interrelated to these 17 sustainable development goals. So I'm encouraging people to reflect on what is most meaningful for you as a person to contribute to these goals. And people can go, of course, with their passions and strengths. And I'm sure everybody has something to contribute. Then conclusive remarks. We all know Gandhi, who said that you must be the change you wish to see in the world. And I think that's important in my reminder here. Because yoga is to contribute to awareness raising and change. And yama and niyama, as I said, are the no option parts of our yoga sadhana, both when we practice and when we teach. And Dr. Ananda has said many times that if practicing yoga doesn't make you a better human being, it's not yoga. And a better human being is the one who's very conscious and responsible. So because you can choose, you need to act responsible. So you need to make these daily attempts to make your lifestyle sustainable and try to inspire the people around you, your family and others you know, to join the efforts. Some countries, this is national policy. In others, it's more up to individuals. So I think these UN's Sustainable Development Goals, they tell us that we need to take responsibility for our world locally, in Pondicherry, in Norway, in California, or wherever we are, and also nationally, globally. And we need to engage young people to be part of the change. And I contributed a bit to a book that just came out in January. It's called Keys to a Better Life, and we are approaching young people and try to inspire them to do yoga. And a lot of pictures of children in nature is also part of the book. So young people are the future. And we are getting old or middle-aged, and we have to leave some to them, and we have to teach them how to deal with this. So thank you for listening. And I'm happy to receive questions, whether they are in the chat, because I wasn't capable to watch the chat, or if you want to raise your hand. So Dr. Mina, can you please
Yes.
follow those who want to?
Thank you very much, Dr. Ingunn, for that wonderful, insightful, the lecture that you gave now. It was so useful. So, like, I think this is the need of the hour, right? If you
Yeah, I
stop
think so too.
sharing, we can open it out for questions, and requesting all the participants, any questions you have, please put it out in the chat box so that Dayanidhi can, our assistant professor, can read them out for Dr. Ingunn. We have a raised hand from Mr. Badrinath Jella.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
you go ahead and ask.
Yes, thank you so much, Ingunn ma'am, for this wonderful presentation. My question is, how can we measure this? Like, how to like make it tangible? Yes, I understand like MRs and EMRs really helps, but the
Yeah.
world which we are living in, they are looking something tangible, like what is the real change you brought? What is the proof? So because these are like completely subjective to each and every individual, how do you think we can make it tangible?
Yes, there are many ways to make it tangible and concrete. If you clean up a beach where you live, it's going to be very tangible, visible. And a lot of times, if you do it in an organized form, do it with your friends, or try to get some media attention about it, so you maybe inspire others, have it enter the schools. If you want to do something and you think it's working, then it's good to transmit it to others. If you have found something that you are passionate about, for example, cleaning beaches, you could ask to visit the school and encourage the children to be part of this. And maybe the teachers find it meaningful. So, and also a lot of organizations try to, mobilize people and make them have very concrete goals. For example, we have had an organization, it started in the 1970s. It's still active. It's in Norway. It has about 50,000 members. That's a lot in a small country like Norway. And they make very concrete efforts and try to mobilize people. For example, they were suggesting that it should be like a goal or a competition for people to try to not buy too many new clothes. Used secondhand, try to fix their clothes. So they challenge people to say, buy only 5 new clothes this year. If you could make that a goal, have all your friends do it, your family. So these small things matter. Or a lot of people are starting also in the cities to make these small gardens where they can grow their vegetables, where they can have spice, herbs. So this urban, gardens, it's often that they use roofs and, public places where a lot of people get together and do it. So it becomes something fun to do too. So it doesn't have to be, oh, you're doing your chores. It's something, okay, this is a meaningful part of my lifestyle, and it's good for the climate. It's good for the environment. It's good for the planet Earth. So it's like awareness raising, and make a lot of small concrete changes in your everyday life. And often it will inspire others too.
Got it. Thank you so much, ma'am. And but how can we give credit to yoga for this? Because normally those who are interested, they'll go and do the cleanup of the beach, and they might not be a yoga practitioners, but they are like they're more interested in environment. But how can we say that like by like teaching yoga to this person, we were able to like work towards sustainable development goals?
Yeah, but I think yoga is about creating awareness among people. And if you teach yoga to a lot of people and also make this sustainable development goals part of the discussion, I mean, some of these would also want to do something about that. And I think because we practice yoga or try to live a yogic life, it shouldn't put us above others. I mean, I can be an engaged citizen. I can feel that I need to do my share to save the planet. I think one is not only a yogi, but if one has a yogic lifestyle, this could be an element. So I don't always have to just limit my life to yoga, even though I try to live a yogic life. I can have many passions, and one passion could be about protecting nature, doing something for the climate, teaching something to young people to protect the planet. And a lot of times we can learn a lot from young people too in this situation.
That just helps,
Thank
like to take up the moral responsibility as a human
Yeah.
being. And
Yeah.
I would like to, like put out that Nilachal Padmashanti, you can see him on screen there. Nilachal, can you just wave your hand? Yeah. So he has been doing this, cleaning the beach for quite some time. And maybe, as you were speaking today, I thought like let us from as, School of Yoga Therapy of ISCM, we can take it up as an initiative and, like keep one day, devote one day, 1 hour or 2 hours every Sundays, maybe with all the research scholars and like ISCM students, and we can kind of go into the beach and do something, like start very small, take a small step, and then put all of them together. That was so beautifully brought out by you, Ingunn ji, that life, it is not, everything is not watertight compartments, each one is interconnected, and you need to be aware to really see that and try to connect that and not break it apart or fragment it. So that is so beautiful. Start small, start with a small, change, and each human being is responsible. It is not just for your own wealth and, health and well-being. It is for, you as a healthy being can motivate and can promote the same thing around you. So that's a small contribution, right? And like how does the ocean is like small drops becoming the ocean. So small changes like this, small inputs, small, like from each contribution from each person can definitely make a huge sound, huge change. And like the sustainable developmental goals, all of them, it is not just the fit of the hour now. We look about it, we think about it, and then forget it tomorrow. May achieving it, attaining it is okay, but how do we sustain it? That is where we need to hold on. As the role of yoga, I feel personally that this is where we have to kind of put in all the yoga practitioners, enthusiasts, everybody, please come together and let us take this up forward, like as part of this International Day of Yoga coming up 2025, one health and one earth. So let us make this a goal for our own selves, a sankalpa, a resolution for this year maybe. Yes, I see Dr. Ananda sir here. Yes, sir.
First of all, Dr. Ingunn, thank you so much. Your presentation was outstanding, enlightening, invigorating, motivating, and I think put into perspective the whole yogic philosophy and psychology and spirituality, where we as a human being are not different than the world in which we live. And this is why whether we are a yogi, whether we are not a yogi is immaterial. as a human being, we must care for this planet if we are to sustain it. Now, a normal Samanya human being, Samanya Manushya, may not have the yogic philosophy, ideals, and practices to live by. So they may be caught up in the modern consumption of I want more, or as our advertising agents tell us in India, dil mange more. But actually, dil should not mange more. Dil to it should mange less. The heart should want less, not more. So the way forward is, as you rightly pointed out, start with our young people. And every yoga practitioner who has an opportunity to teach young children must take up this responsibility to inculcate these environmental friendly attributes as part of the yoga class. When you are teaching them the Vrikshasana, don't just focus on balancing on one leg. Talk to them about the importance of trees. Talk to them about the importance of the climate change that is happening because of deforestation. So along with the yoga practices, give them the environmental conservation and friendly ideas. And I also really liked your perspective on the beaches, and Meena beat it to me in talking about Nilachal's work. But even Nilachal finds it. He goes every Sunday to clean the beach. On Monday, it is the same, because nobody else is thinking about it. So just one person cannot change everything. But if every person starts to feel that they are responsible for this planet, and as you said, the key in yoga is to be aware of our choices, and that with our choices comes the responsibility that comes with our choices. If you are going to buy a huge gas guzzling car, realize you are responsible for worsening the environment. If you are going to keep on changing clothes every week just to be up with the local market, realize what you are doing. At least first realize. And then once you realize that you are harming the environment, you are contributing to climate change, you can try not to do so and become the change that we want to see in the world. So these were a few thoughts that were inspired by your presentation. And I believe that this presentation should become a publication, because this importance of yoga and sustainable development goals is very, very important, not just conceptually. When a patient comes to us with diabetes or hypertension and we give yoga therapy, don't stop with just teaching them left nostril breathing and Shavasana and Ardha Matsyendrasana and Viparita Karana. Teach them that your diabetes is not just your problem, it is part of the whole global problem because of the faulty eating practices, lifestyle, deficiencies or wrong choices, the environmental pollution, the pollution of the chemical preservatives in our food. And the moment you start to educate them as a teacher, don't limit yourself to only teaching yoga techniques. If you do that, you and a gym instructor are no different. As a yoga teacher, it is your dharma. As a yogacharya, it is your dharma to share these concepts with everyone who comes to you in the way appropriate for that individual. These were a few thoughts that came up, and I was not going to talk today, but you stimulated me, Ingunn, because really, I told her the other day in a private message, but she is a living role model of what a professor, an academician, a researcher can be as a human being. And I would like to publicly state that you are an inspiration for all of us, Dr. Ingunn. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can I just respond a bit? I want to say that I had heard rumors that Nilachal was cleaning the beaches in Pondicherry and that he did it every Sunday. First, I was impressed by he seemed to take so much responsibility for everything. So I was amazed that you even found time for that. And I thought, what an amazing man, human being, and a responsible yogi. So I think you're modeling something. And even if it's dirty again soon after, maybe someone else will start. But I think also we can try to impact that someone else are inspired and involved. And it's very easy to talk. I myself was guilty of talking about this when I was in Pondicherry at the ashram. I was suggesting to the others, oh, we should use some of our karma time to go to the beach and clean up. And perhaps we should suggest this to Dr. Ananda or the course leaders. And perhaps we should get the media to come and cover this and inspire others to be part of it. And perhaps this would be the first seed of something bigger, because I think we need to be put the seed, and we can inspire others, but we shouldn't be above others. We should try to work with them. And if we find this important, then we should do it. And that's why I like so much that Nilachal is doing it. He has done it. And we should follow his example. So, and I just talked, I didn't initiate something or do something, but if I come back, I would be happy to contribute, perhaps with Nilachal or with others, and get media attention and inspire many others to do it.
Sometimes advertisement is also essential, right?
Yeah.
To motivate others, maybe. So we have one question from Devyan. How to instill the values of yoga in people for a growing economy where consumption is being promoted by industry giants and government?
I must admit, I'm not sure I quite understand the question.
Can I read it again for you? How to
Sure.
instill the values of yoga in people for a growing economy where consumption is being promoted by industry giants and government.
Yeah.
If Devyanji is there, maybe you can unmute and like clarify what are you asking?
Yes, thank you so much for the session. Actually, I asked the question earlier, but I think I got the answer. The change starts from individual. And it's true that we should start from ourselves and try to impact people around us. Actually, we are living in a society where in a consumption, more and more brands and marketing, these are being, into vogue. And government and industry giants, they are doing it regularly and very vehemently. So I think we should not be caring about big scale. Change should happen from small scale and from us. I got the answer. Actually, I was listening to ma'am and Ananda sir.
Yeah.
So I got the answer, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Any
for your
other
important
questions?
question.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Let me just share the screen for a minute. So day 3, we will have Dr. Rama Reddy Khari, the director and consultant psychiatrist of Manasa Hospital, which is on the 21st of May. So we have Rama Reddy sir right there, who will be our next resource person. So Rama Reddy sir, any comments on Dr. Ingunn's session today?
Namaste, madam. And I have been admirer of Professor Ingunn Hagen even before I get acquainted with her by reviewing her article in our journal club, you may remember. And I have been admirer because of her talents, as Dr. Bhavnani was telling all these things. And today's topic, really I wondered, very big canvas, the whole thing, the whole theme is there in the title itself. How is she going to manage the whole thing? To put it in 2 words, the whole life is SDGs. And what is SDGs and how to achieve is our yoga lifestyle. So putting these two things into a big canvas and dealing all these things is really a very, very difficult thing. And today's her lecture is a forerunner for my lecture, so that I could get some guidance from her how to approach my topic. Because where to limit my topic and where to expand also, I could get from her. I congratulate her and I thank her. Namaste.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much, sir, for your comments. So students of ISCM, if you're all there, can we take an oath right now? Put a hands up or a thumbs up there that you are all part of this, let us take this up as a resolution right now to do something, take up the responsibility and be a part of the change that can be brought about so that the others can also start following us, right? So thank you all so much. Thank you, Ingunn ji, for that wonderful inspiring session, because like Ramareddy sir said, the moment I saw your the title that you gave up in this topic, I was wondering how you're going to cover up the whole thing, because it was so expansive, but you brought it out into a nutshell, and it was like a laser beam hit straight ahead, that I think, I'm sure it has made a huge impact in each and every one of us. So thank you so much, and let's
Thank you.
finish the session with the Shanti mantra. Can I request you all to sit erect, eyes closed, take a deep breath in. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu sarve janaha sukhino bhavantu. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Om. Thank you all. Thank you all so much. See you all on day 3, 21st, with our resource person being Dr. Ramareddy sir. So on 21st, 10 a.m. So see you all. Have a great day. Have a great time. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everybody.
Ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.